Synthesizers should cost no more than $1,500. Or so saith Behringer. Why do I say that? Because just before Christmas, if you've been following the Behringer Instagram feed, you will have seen a statement on their Instagram account that said, and I'll read verbatim what they said. The full statement was, "We at Behringer believe synthesizers for everyone to empower every musician on the planet. Even the most complex polyphonic synthesizers on the market should cost no more than $1,500. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. That's quite a statement, isn't it? Especially for one of the big-ish manufacturers to make, is the fact that they're saying $1,500 should be the ceiling for synthesizers or buying new synthesizers. And especially if you think about some of the announcements they've made recently, that's an even more indicative statement. £1,500, $1,500 at the moment it's pretty much on par. We are more or less pound for dollar. I think £1 is something like $110 or something like that at the moment. And it appears to be a price point that a lot of manufacturers are really homing in on at the moment, in terms of where they're pitching new product into. Some are a bit higher, some are a bit lower, but they definitely be trying to centre around this sort of, I would say, sub £2,000 mark in the UK, £1,500 if they can get the price point right. One of the things I've been looking at is whether I need. I use the word need a Juno X. I mean, I have a Jupiter X, but the Juno X kind of just does something. I don't know what it is, but it kind of builds an emotion. So I've been looking at the Jupiter X, and if you can get one, and I do actually make the point, if you can get one, because they keep selling out in the UK, whether that's because there's a shortage of supply or whether there's actually a run on demand for the Jupiter X. Sorry, not the Jupiter X, the Juno X. But if you can get one at the moment, you are looking at about £1,650 UK pounds to buy a brand new Juno X. That is squarely into this £1,500 to £2,000 price range that they're aiming at. If we go and look at some of the other manufacturers and some of the other recent announcements for productivity products, instruments, whatever you want to call them, shall we say, the new Akai MPC61 that was released late last year, on the portal this morning, that was priced at $1,489, squarely £1,500. If I go and look at the Korg products, instruments in this area, it was very interesting that I noticed just before Christmas, or just after Christmas it probably was, the price of the Nautilus has dropped. And you can now pick a 61 note Nautilus up for $1,469 in the UK, so it's pounds. If you want to go for the granddaddy of the Nautilus range, that appears to, at the moment, and one on the portal I was looking at, £1,989. Now that actually could be misleading, because I think Korg realised they've made an issue, or dropped a clanger with the Nautilus, and whether they're trying to get rid of the stock of Nautilus ahead of whatever else is going to come, don't know. But I do find it really interesting that the price point of this 88 key Nautilus, which I believe was in the high 2000s when it came out, is now sub £2,000. Now, as I say, that could be an indication of something is coming, and they just want to get rid of back stock, or it could be the fact they realised that their price point into the market was wrong. And we've said that, the lot of the people on the internet and a lot of musicians that I know and talk to have said that the price of the Nautilus for what you get with the Nautilus was wrong. It didn't match in with sort of the Yamaha or the Roland strategy. But at the moment you can get both a 61, also both a trio, a 61, a 76 or an 88 key Nautilus, sub £2,000. And I say, read into that what you will. Let's go and look at the other players in this space with some of their recent releases. So Yamaha late last year released the Modi X Plus. Okay, now I quickly looked at the prices, and a Modi X7 was 1299 and a Modi X8 was 1529, and for that you get all the Montage's goodness in a more portable and cheaper package. While we're looking at the cut down workstations, we've obviously got to look at the Phantom O, which was introduced early part of 2022. Now the 76 key is bang on the money and 1469, and the 88 key is at 1599, straddling either side of that £1,500 mark. Now this is not really a hardware synth, so it's kind of a little bit left field, but it is a keyboard, and this is the Native Instruments Complete Control S61 software keyboard bundle. That comes in with complete 14 at £1,400. Again, just either side of that £1,500 mark. And if it's got to be red, the Nord Lead A1 is now retailing at £1,419. And if you need the Wave 2, that's £1,899. And if you want to forego the keyboard and get yourself into a bit of sequential goodness, you can actually pick up the Dave Smith Prophet Rev 2 desktop module for $1549 and the OB6 desktop module for $1977. So what conclusion can we make from this? Well, it's a very interesting point. What is the conclusion? I have to be honest and say I looked at one of the portals this morning I'm recording this video, and I can see that there are 87 keyboards and modules in the £1,000 to £2,000 price bracket. And this price space has more than anything else being launched into it. As I said, launching aimed at that £1,500 price point. So back to the statement that I made right at the top of this video. Behringer, does this mean that the Behringer long-awaited UBXA and UBXA desktop are going to land somewhere around £1,500 or even sub £1,500 for the desktop version? It would be great if this were the case, as I now have a number to aim at, because I'm skint, so if I'm going to buy a UBXA, which I quite like the look of, I've always liked the Oberheim OBXA, I've never been able to afford one, but if I could buy a UBXA and it's only going to cost me £1,500, that's a really, really good point, because I was expecting it to come in, to be honest, I was expecting it to come in more than £1,500. So therefore the decision now for me moves away from cost, because I've got a kind of cost point, and the decision point moves to how will I use the instrument once I buy it. Now, for me, when I'm buying instruments, it's always about how will I use it. And as you know, some of my instruments I've actually sold on because I just don't get on with them. But if I'm using an instrument, then I've got to be able to use the instrument. And on that note, I'm going to say, live long and prosper. This was the first SMR of the new year, I think. So, guys, keep well.